heuristics are a set of best practices to make a product easy to use, right? And as what Prasad told, right, when it is used by expert to evaluate a product, you can quickly identify common problems that are there, right? That is stopping the user from using the product very, very effectively, right? And this method is most useful when done by an expert when time is constrained, right? So when you don't have a lot of time, but you know how to apply and evaluate a product through, auditing it from a heuristics perspective, it is very, very useful for you, right? Yeah. Prasad, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying one thing is they did this research where they had different number of people evaluate a product using heuristics. Okay. Now, what was interesting was the number of problems and the type of problems different people detected were different. Okay. Even between 10 experts, there was a huge variation in the heuristics that were identified. Okay. So when they finally got to the point, what they said was, well, heuristics is only as valuable as the experience of the person who's doing the research, who's doing the evaluation. Okay. Somebody with, like, say, a year's worth of experience will evaluate a product differently. Somebody with 5 years of experience will evaluate the same product differently using the same principles. Somebody with 10 years is going to evaluate it differently. Okay. So the way you get better at heuristics is practice, 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 practice. Okay. And throughout this workshop, right, throughout, not the workshop, but the overall class, you will be applying heuristics day in and day out, day in and day out. So by the time you finish the first, say, 4 to 6 weeks, okay, you should have done at least 10 to 15 different heuristic evaluations and thought about the problem from different perspectives. Okay. And that is the fastest way for you to get there. So again, for a lot of the training modules that we have, there is nothing. Practice is the only way you can learn. Okay. And so you just have to keep, and practice comes in different ways. Practice is you doing your work. Practice is you giving feedback to somebody else. Practicing is you participating in discussions. All of these are practice. The more you practice, the better you get at heuristics. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Now the next question is why to do it, right? Why to learn heuristics and why to apply it when you are, evaluating certain product, right? So to understand the most common types of mistakes the designers make while designing a product, right? So you don't have to go to users to know it. Actually, you can apply them and you can rectify most common mistakes that users do, and you can make them avoid doing that, right? You can critique any product with appropriate rationale, right? So we talked about one of the projects in Freelance Friday where Shubhashmita actually did a evaluation of a website, right? She used this technique, right? And she was able to critique that product with appropriate rationale. That's how she got into the internship there, right? So it helps you, articulate your rationale when you're critiquing a certain product, right? And the other thing is to improve overall usability of the product, right? So when you address these principles in your product, you are improving the overall usability of the product significantly, right? And also to prioritize the issues identified and give your recommendations. So you can identify issues, you can prioritize them, and we'll be learning about prioritization as we move forward. But yes, and based on that, you can give recommendations to the designers that, okay, this is the issue. So if you follow this recommendation, you'll be able to solve that issue and you'll be, able to improve your product significantly. Right? Any questions so far?
No.
Oh. So one thing that will be expected of all of you is to prioritize. Okay. So this is a simple rule that I'm just putting in there, rule number 1 for everything going forward from here for the rest of your career. Okay. Whenever you list items in an email or anything, you will always put the most important thing first and the least important thing last. Okay. Now, if you were to identify heuristics, okay, And you will realize that 4 or 5 heuristics are violated in the same design. You have to prioritize which is the most important heuristic, because learning a heuristic, you can do it from any video, any YouTube video. But learning how to prioritize is a secret skill, right? It's a super skill. So that is what you will be expected to do is, okay, if it is violating 4 different heuristics, which of the heuristic is the most important one? Okay. And that will be a skill that you will have to build throughout the next 3 weeks. As you start doing heuristics more and more, this will be required. But going forward, whatever you say, even if you say it, you have to prioritize which is most important, which is least important. Okay. If you're writing it, most important to least important, everything should be prioritized, because it is teaching you how to prioritize issues. Again, when you are in a team and engineers are looking to you and saying, okay, what is the cheapest way, what is the biggest problem, and what is the cheapest way to solve it, you should be able to prioritize. This is the one thing you should do, even if you have 100 things, right, in your list. And that's the thing that you need to focus on. So prioritization is a critical skill that you will be building now, and that will be expecting you to do. Cool.
Awesome.
And FYI, if you haven't figured out, Saurabh is basically looking at the tactics. He's basically looking at, the specific topic. I'm looking at the larger concept, how to make you conceptually a strong designer. So we are both like doing a jugalbandi. So if you, realize that's what our game is here.
Yeah. So the next question is when to do it, right? So I mean, when you have any existing product that you can, test, you can do it, right? Or if you have any prototype that you can use, or anything that is in the beta stage of the product, you can do it. Or if it is a wireframe of a new product, if you are creating something new from scratch and you're designing that, you can, evaluate that using these principles, right? Whether it is in a wireframe stage. So anything that you can see, use, and react to, you can apply principles and you can evaluate that, right? And it will actually significantly help you in identifying the areas of improvement and different issues even before you are launching the product, right? So yeah, that's that. And any questions so far?
Yeah, one question, Saurabh. Actually, the prioritizing the feature. So how we can prioritize? For example, the login is a one feature. For example, we need to think about the coding wise also. That is the most important, and how much time it take. And we should think about the time and like how much. So we need to go to the business wise also. Like we need to stick with only the display.
Good question. Very good question, right? So
before you answer it, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? Yep. Madhu, let's look at application of heuristic principles in design, right? To understand how to apply in the design, as well as how to apply them when you are evaluating certain product, right? So we have 10, the best 10 set of heuristic principles that are out there, and we'll be talking and learning learning to understand what each one of those are and how to apply them, right? So today we are going to talk 5 in depth, and in the next class we are going to talk about the other 5 in depth, and that's how we'll go. And our first step is to understand the heuristics, and then we'll be looking at prioritizing, and then using that knowledge to actually evaluate a real industry product, right? So yeah, let's go forward. So yeah, here's the first question for all of you. Look at this particular design here and let us know what's wrong in this example.
So by the way, for people who've gone through the program, the Kickstarter program, don't speak out, because you already know the answers.
Yep.
I think the months are not in order.
Months are not in the order. They are in the order, no? It is sorted.
Alphabetical order.
Yeah. So it is in order.
But I don't think people will people recognize it when we say January, February, March, April, May, June instead of like in an alphabetical order, right?
I think it's date wise, right?
I think the top label, the header, the header of the amount is the sales amount, is the left aligned, and the amount is right aligned. And when I'm reading actually month name, sales amount. And here month name we have a space and sales amount we don't have any space.
Okay, yeah, I would agree that there is little bit of problem there. But what is the larger problem?
What is the biggest problem?
Yeah,
Prioritized problem.
I think I'm finding on the UI side also the arrow should be in the month.
I understand, but prioritize. You are only allowed to say one problem. Prioritize your problem and say this is what I believe is but the biggest problem.
I think so. Which are the top number should be in a top, something like which are the high number should be in a top, something like. And maybe we need to give numbers and words total how much the user not able to count easily, right? So we can give the complete words how much amount it would be.
Yeah, so let's not get into the solution. Let's just identify the problem for now. And let's try to understand the context. So what's actually happening in this particular design, right? Someone is trying to look at the overall summary of how much sales, total sales amount is there for the overall year, in which they have tried to sort the months, right? Now, according to this context, what is the main, most pressing problem that you're seeing in this example? No. You have gone through the
can't
program.
say anything. It will be cheating.
A match between system and real world.
Okay, because
it's not in the order. Like user can't exactly like see in a way. Like he got used to January, February, March in a sequence order, but now it's in alphabetical order. So.
Exactly, but you can polish your articulation a little bit, right? So it's basically what you're saying is what is real world for you. The system is not talking the same language, right? So it's basically match between system and real world. So the thing is that it is in a particular order that is true for the system, but it is not matching with your mental model. What is real world for you? Right? So it even if it is ordered in a certain way, it is not ordered in a way in which you perceive the information for a particular year, right? So that way there is a disconnect, right? So that's why it's a violation of match between system and real world, right?
So whose real world are we talking about here?
The user's real world.
The user's real world. That is really, really important. I'll give you a simple example. How many of you have grown up with a mobile device? Like when you were born, like, when you were 2 or 3 years old, you had a mobile device that you're playing with, a smartphone. How many? Not a lot, right? So for you, what was real world? Was the practical element of, physically playing with something, right? And so if you were doing the pinch interaction or whatever, and you're like making it smaller or making it bigger, that's what you would do in a physical world. So for you, match between system and the real world is the physical element of like pinching and doing stuff versus how the software is doing it. Okay. Now you look at the kids that were born post smartphone. Okay. What is real world for them? Real world for them was the smartphone only, because for them, that is where they started their learning. Correct? So for them, their real world is different. So this is also something to understand. The different user groups will have different definitions of the word real world. Okay. And identifying who your customer is and identifying the definition is the first step to saying whether that particular heuristic has been violated or not. Everybody with us?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so the lesson here is, as a designer, it is very important for you to address the mental models of your users and design your product in a way that is matching between users' expectations and then, you know, working through the system that way, right? So here's a very, you know, interesting and very simple example in which what Medium actually did is they identified that, you know, when you read something or when you know you're writing something on paper, right, you highlight certain things to mark them as important and you want them want to visit to those marked items later, and they took that inspiration and implemented that in their design so that people could relate, and you know, the mental model is same, right? They are reading certain thing and they want to save something that is important for them, certain piece of the text, right? So they implemented that, and that way they matched the real world of the user with the system when they were introducing Medium, right? So it's a very good practice if you do that, right? You address the mental models of your users and you know design the product that way, so it will be very, very easy and effective for your users to use that. Any questions so far?
Cool. We can go on to the
Yeah,
next.
yeah, Prasad, one
Go
question
ahead, Mark.
actually. So for example, I'm just thinking about the component wise, maybe it is a concept wise. For example, input field, for example, we are entering the name and stuff, something like. So we always think about that real world. I think for example, I'm an accountant. I need to enter some amount. Previously, banking system is different. So everyone is writing the lectures. Now banking system is different. So every time we need to think about every perspective through this mental model, any kind of situation. I think how the real world people doing that and how the system is doing now. Should we think like that everything?
I think, see, understand, what does match between system and the real world help you achieve? Right? It helps you achieve faster learnability, right? And it also makes something more intuitive to understand. Correct? So if you're using a metaphor that you're already familiar with and you look at it, oh yeah, I know this is how it works. Correct? And that's the intention. So as many metaphors as you can use, the better you are. Okay. So from that perspective, yes, if you're creating a banking software and you're creating a ledger, absolutely. Now let's actually talk about a ledger. Okay. Let's think about this. So this is something that we don't actually do a lot when we do our Excel sheets and all that. Okay. When you fill in, have you ever gone to the bank and you have to fill in the form to say this is how much money I'm submitting versus this is how much money I'm taking? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do they define that one line where you have to supposed to put the numbers in digits? How do they design that?
Numbers, digits, digits, something
Yeah.
like.
So they will put squares, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
One
The
square
square,
for
yeah.
one digit.
Yeah,
Correct?
correct.
Why do they do that?
So maybe we need to give some space. Some people writing we need to give a users to, you have to do this way. So like understanding
So
is
that you can visually look at it and say how much money you're putting. You don't have to count the number of zeros. What is the difference between 10 lakh and 1 lakh?
correct.
Is 110, correct?
Correct.
But if I transfer 10 lakhs to you instead of 1 lakh, I'll get fired from my job.
Yeah. Yeah,
Correct? So the reason why you put those squares is to make sure that you are visually able to tell how big of a number it is. Right? Not just that, now go back to that form and understand it, how they've done it, right? So print media designers have spent a lot of time doing that design. If you look at it, they will tell you this is the tens digit, this is the hundred digit. They've actually put visual cues to communicate it to you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what is the metaphor for that if you were supposed to do a digital product?
Something like we need to give input field. So like if I apply same thing, I need to make the boxes kind of thing.
Not
Here.
really. If you just put commas, it will solve the same problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Simply enforcing commas helps you decide how big the number is. Is it 1 lakh or 10 lakhs?
Yeah, correct, sir.
Right. That is what I'm expecting. When I say that match between system and the real world, it's not to say that I'm going to do duplicate exactly square to square. No, right? Understand what problem you're trying to solve in the real world and how they have solved it in the real world. Because clearly there is a problem that somebody is facing in the real world. That is why they designed it that way, right? Get that core reason, abstract it and design it for yourself in a way that it still solves that original problem and people understand visually, yes, it is the same metaphor. Putting commas is the same as putting squares. Most people won't even realize, oh, there's a comma or a square. In fact, most people don't even remember, like when I talk about, there might be. Most of you do not remember whether there's a square or not on that. Right? But that is what the beauty of design is. You don't have to remember it. You just have to know it and you look at it, it makes sense to you. That's good enough.
Correct.
Right? Does that answer your question, Madhu?
Yeah, correct, Prasad. Real world situation. We should not do directly that. We need to think about that. How we can make that. Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, next.
So the next question. Look at this example and tell us what's wrong in this example. Come on.
There is no progress bar.
Yeah, this seems like an infinite loop. Like I don't know how much time do I have to wait, how long it will take.
Okay.
Okay. And why is that a problem?
Because time is important for me. I want this to be done as soon as possible, or give me a hint like how much duration this thing would take.
Otherwise, so what makes you feel that it's an infinite loop?
Like it's since there's no indication of numbers or some kind of progress.
Some kind of progress. There's no indication of numbers or progress.
Yes.
Right. All right. Awesome. We got that one.
Okay. The another question is, it is saying loading. So what is it loading?
It can be a file.
Yeah, something they need to mention about what exactly loading and how much progress is going on, how much time does it take.
Okay. But then what heuristic is that?
Visibility of system status.
Because?
It's not actually showing like a progression bar or something. There's a time frame that you need to show the user like what's actually happening. So suppose if I'm downloading a specific file, it's showing me continuously like it's downloading. So I can see that it's downloading, but here it's not stating what it's showing and there's no progression bar or anything. So I don't know what's happening there. So it's just stuck.
Yeah, see, the progress bar can be one of the aspects and that should be addressed in some particular context, right? But what the larger problem is, you don't know what it is doing. You don't know how long will it take. So you don't know about a lot of things, right? You are not certain about a lot of things. First, you don't know what is it about and how much time is it going to take, or whether it is still loading or is it stuck. You don't know, right? So that way it violates the heuristic, which is visibility of system status, right? You should be able to know at any point of time what's happening in the system, right? So if you look at the this example on the left hand side, right? So here you see it's about firmware upgrade, right? A firmware upgrade, right? And it is also informing you that in that case it is downloading firmware, please do not return. So you have the context what this design is doing, and you also know how much time is it going to take and what is the progress there. So it is setting the expectation for the action that you have taken previously and how much time it is going to take to the next level. right? Next stage. So this is a good practice of doing, visibility of system status. So what it is
And
doing is,
one other thing it's also showing is what you will get if you wait.
Right.
Right. Or it's saying if you don't wait, what are the consequences to you?
Yeah.
Right. So there is a consequence component, which is either the value or the loss that you will have. Then there is what am I doing and how much time is it going to take?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Saurabh.
Yeah. So you know that what you have done previously, you know what's happening right now. You also know what will happen once this process is done. So this is really a good example of applying visibility of system status into some context. Right. So as designers, it is very important and essential for you to keep your users informed about what's happening in the system at any given time. Any questions?
Yes, Saurabh. So actually, when I was exploring Discord yesterday, suddenly there was a power cut. So immediately at the top, I have seen that network connectivity is limited or unavailable. Right.
Okay.
So does that come under visibility of system status because we are informing the user on a real-time basis?
What do you think?
I think yes.
Yes. Right. It is informing you, right? Something went off and you are informed about it. And also you are informed that what you can do, what you cannot do when that happens. So yes, it's an example of that.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you. So I'll first give you the context, right? So you live in, let's say, Madhya Pradesh, right? And then you are visiting Odisha, and then you want to know certain information, you want to access certain information about the Odisha state. So you visit this website and you don't know the language, Odia. Right. So now tell us what's wrong in this example.
Yeah, I think first we can check the language change. Once we landed in the page, I think we can find some language change option.
Okay.
First, I noticed that one, and
I mean, why do you want to change the language?
So if I'm not understand the complete stuff here, so what is going on and how I just visually understand something is like so it is a government website kind of thing, something like he's a main person kind of thing. So another one, yeah.
Then then what is the problem there? I mean, in this screen, if you are moving forward with that intent.
Yes, as we can communicate in many ways, I think language like writing is one of the ways. So pictorial representation might also be the like less of pictorial representation and more of written information is more might be the problem. Is what I feel.
Okay, yes, but I agree. But see the context, which is you want to access certain information, so you'll have to read. That's for sure. Right. So if that's the intent, what's the problem here?
The search is not visible at all for me.
Language.
Okay. I mean, language is certainly the problem that you are. First problem is you don't understand this language. Then what are you expecting here?
To change the language to whatever suits me, like English, Hindi, or whatever.
Okay. Then what is the problem there?
I don't see an option to change it.
Okay.
Even to change the language button, even if that is in the language we do not know, I think that will be the problem.
Okay. Okay.
When coming to the website, you can give a pop-up like which language you want to go with the familiar language you have.
Yeah, that will be the solution. And we are just talking about problem for now. We can ideate on different solutions to solve the problem, right? But now for this particular screen, if that's the problem, what heuristic is it violating?
User control and freedom.
Why?
Because I cannot control. I want to like change to English, so I don't have a freedom, and I don't see where it is.
Exactly, right? So you don't have a control over making the interface as you want to read it, right? So you don't have the control and freedom to do it, and you are forced to read Odia that you don't know. So certainly this particular website will not work for anyone else who is not who is not who doesn't know Odia, right? So it's a violation of user control and freedom in that sense, right? And as designers, you should never do that, right? So if we look at the other example here, in this screenshot, if you see, you have deleted something, right? And it is saying that the conversation has been moved to trash. You can learn more or you can undo it, right? So a lot of times so now understand the context, right? When you are talking about inbox Gmail, you have thousands of different emails there, and you might accidentally delete something, right? But you will expect a emergency exit or a freedom or a control with which you can get back that email, right? So that is what it is about, right? You should have you should implement user control and freedom for your users to avoid those mistakes. And if they are not avoid the mistakes, but if you are making those small mistakes in using your interface, your experience, they can have the emergency exit from it, and they can recover through that mistake, unwanted mistakes that they are committing, right? Or in general, they are having control over what they want to do at that particular time, and they have a freedom and control to do it, right? So yeah, that is Gmail implements it beautifully, and you have a way to undo what you have accidentally deleted, and you don't have to go to trash and then recover from there. Of course, you have a flexibility to do it from there, but this is also a faster way to do it, right? Yeah. Right? So let's try to understand what's happening. You're typing the password, you're typing, you're confirming the password by typing it right. But if you see actually, and then you press next, and then it throws the error, right? So error has actually happened, and then it is informing you that the error is happening, and then it is helping you, correct that error, right? So it's a violation of error prevention, because you should be thinking about preventing the error even before it is actually happening, right? So if I ask this question, that could you help the user prevent and avoid that error in the first place by doing something? Yes, right? Even before allowing them to press next, you can see whether the password that they are entering on the left is making sense, and it is matching with the right one. And you can do all those validations so that you are preventing the error even before it is happening, right? And that's when that's how you move forward, right? So that way, if you evaluate this particular experience, it's a violation of error prevention, because once error has happened, then you are able to correct it, while you can still prevent it before it is even happening. Everybody getting my point?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's look at the other example that's there, right? Somehow I'm not able to, yeah. So this is error prevention, right? So if we see this example here, right, in Google. So someone is typing Olympic, but they have typed a wrong spelling for it, right? But they have not performed any action yet, right? So even before performing the action of pressing enter or clicking on search, Google is preventing the error from happening, right? So it is correcting the spelling for you so that it can prevent the error. Because if you see on a first level, if you type this and press enter, right, you will get no results. So Google is helping you prevent that error from happening, and you are able to get this correct spelling so that you can get some results. Of course, Google does later enhancements also, in which even if you have searched something, some wrong spelling, it will recover from there. But there it would be something else. Here it is, you have not performed any action, but it is preventing the error from happening because it is giving you suggestions. So it's a good practice, right? So as designers, it's a good lesson for all of us, is that whenever we are planning certain experience in which user is giving you some input, you should be able to plan for all the errors, and you should be able to plan to prevent errors from happening wherever it is possible, even before your user commits the error. Okay, any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Actually, I just wanted to ask you, like, is this only one way to show from error to be happening, preventing error to be happening? So it is a visual way, right now. It can be haptics, some in some cases. So I just wanted to know, like, how are the different ways we can show user error, you are doing something wrong or something.
Yeah.
See, I would say that would be your homework also. That will be part of your homework. Okay. But I can give a couple of different examples how you can avoid errors. All right. So one way you can avoid errors is if you look at by automating. Okay. So when you were applying for a Geo card, SIM card, okay, how did they minimize errors there?
I guess
anybody? Yep, Anup, go ahead. I know you are desperate now. After this, you'll put a fatwa on me. So go ahead.
Okay, though the thing I can remember is they have eradicated the manual entering of means individuals' data. So they have made it really short by just going through or giving a connection through linking of an Aadhaar card. So considering Aadhaar card containing all the relevant data to be appropriate and correct, they directly fetch the data from Aadhaar itself, and then we are good to go.
That's complete error prevention, isn't it?
Yeah.
You give your fingerprint, you give a picture of your Aadhaar card. All they do is they'll take a picture of that QR code. That's it. Everything else is automated.
Yeah.
That whole thing is error prevention, isn't it?
Yes.
And there was nothing visual about it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, let's get on the next one then. So now here in this screen, do not read what's there in the image. Do not read any text. Just react on the composition. Do you see anything wrong? And what's wrong? Do not read the image. Do not read the text. Come on, what's wrong?
I think the images should be larger in size and the font should be lesser in size.
Why?
Who said that? Who said that? Sorry.
I'm Srikar.
Okay. Yeah.
Why do you feel so?
Because it takes more time to read rather than recognizing a picture. A time being being the major factor, I said that.
Okay.
Easy to grasp.
Okay. So why is that a problem here? So what you told is image should be larger, text should be smaller. That's the solution. I'm asking the problem.
So when you insist that you are not supposed to read, actually, by default, actually, my eyes going to read the content.
Okay, okay. Interesting. So is there any difference here from the slides that we were using before, previously?
Yeah, in the previous, you just highlight the picture in the center. Now, actually, you given some description in the right side with the highlighted text. So the eyes grabbing the content compared to the picture.
Okay, okay.
So I
Then,
think here
yeah.
there's a common pattern that we see that the logos would be on the left, and we'll see the search bar in the center, and the right side we expect, like it's like subconsciously is feeded in our mind that if we go on the right corner, we can find the login or some kind of information there. So these patterns are common among all these three of them.
So what do you feel when you saw that change here in this slide? And I'm not talking about the images, but the overall composition of this slide. How did you feel?
No consistency.
Okay. But how did you feel? Okay, there is no consistency.
So I need to put more work upon myself to find the new things. Like if I expected it to be there, it would be easier for me to perform action. If it's not there, then I have to find a new location of it. Where did it go?
Yes. So there are three different kinds of images, but the information is given only continuously. So we do not know which information is for which image.
Okay, we can talk about that. So basically, for that context, when you put text like that, it is to assume, for you to assume that, and for you to basically understand that it is for all three. But yeah, so what heuristic is being violated when you are seeing that change here?
Consistency and
yeah, exactly, right? So if you see, if we are not looking at just the image but the overall composition of this particular slide, you see that the font and the overall message that is there is taking more hierarchy than the image itself, and generally, and also you see that the text copy is taking more hierarchy than the heading itself. So it's a violation of consistency and standards, right? And what it does to you is it makes you uncomfortable, right? So imagine, so now let's talk about the example here. So whenever you go to any website that is out there, right, and when you want to log in or sign up, right, your eyes will automatically go into right top when you are working in a desktop, right, or anything that is landscape, right, or even portrait, right, because you are habituated to that. And what designers are doing it, they are catering to that habit of yours, and they are designing it in that way so that you are not having to look anywhere else. So that way they are implementing those that consistency, those standards, right, so that you don't have to put more effort in learning something or finding something, right? So as designers, it is it is essential for you to cater and design for those standards and consistencies. But now here's another catch, right? You use Windows and you use Apple, right? So if you are transitioning from one platform to the other, will you say that it's a violation of consistency and standards? Because in a Windows you see all the close, maximize, minimize button on the right, and in Mac OS you see on the left. So will you call that as violation of consistency and standards?
No.
Why?
yeah,
Because they are in their own ecosystem. they have their own user base they are targeting, maybe.
Exactly. So they have their own ecosystem, right? And they are catering to their consistencies there that way, so that they can, retain their users there, right? So it is very tricky to say that, but yeah, that's the case there, right? But now I'll ask the other question, which is, if you are designing a new experience, let's say you're designing a new website. So now can you put the sign in option on the left instead of right?
No, because sign in every website are like something like sign in or like a cart option in right top. So we need to think about the external external people also doing the same. So user always, if you do that, the user cognitive load will increase and he might confuse sometimes.
Exactly. So you'll have to always consider the context in which you are, making that decision. And then what are the pros and cons that are there, that are, that will be there if you do that change, right? So you'll have to always consider that, right? So that's why it's very important for you to consider consistency in standards and design your products that way, so that you're catering to your user habits. I mean,
One more
habits
thing I
of your
wanted to mention.
users. Yeah. So a small quiz, right? And we are done with our 5 heuristics for today, but let's do an exercise to actually internalize the concepts that we have just talked about. All right. So the first question is, this is the example, right? You identify the heuristic applied in this example and let us know which heuristic is it.
Error and prevention.
Why?
Because when the user is typing the password, it's giving every detail, like he has the strength and what needs to be used in that password.
Okay.
I would argue this is maybe system status, no?
No, it's an error.
Because
and
it is telling you like how the system will, these are the rules that I'm going to take. And so you have to, follow these rules otherwise. So wouldn't it be system status?
I think we, like you already mentioned, we have to prioritize in terms of the context. So we have to see like the user is primarily what is the primary task, like he's entering the password, so he needs to be given that feedback that the strength and
So
that
what
way,
is that then?
yeah.
Is that system status or error? What is it? Because
error
it's still the
prevention.
strength is also system status only. Like I think the strength is weak, strong, that's system status.
Yeah, but that may be the secondary, but when the user is typing it is getting to know that yeah, this thing needs to be typed first, and he can be corrected there itself. Then
Cool.
then it can say that it is strong or better or best something.
All right.
So understand the context, right? You're trying to enter a password, right? Where what system is trying to do is trying to prevent the error from happening, for which they are using visibility of system status as a medium to prevent the error. But if you look at the context, your password should not be long, right? So you want to prevent that error from happening, right? So you will prioritize that over the others, right? In which other heuristics you are applying to make sure that you are preventing the error. So yes, it is overlapping in that sense, in which you will prioritize error prevention over the other. And yeah, that's what the answer is. So always go with the context, and that will help you prioritize your heuristic one over the other. Right? It is not that you are implementing visibility of system status to prevent the, and then prevent the error. It is your intention is to prevent the error. That's why you're providing visibility of system status, right? Okay, next question. What is the heuristic applied here?
This one is super easy.
Visibility of system status.
System status itself.
Exactly, visibility of system
As
status.
the user is been given the feedback that password has been emailed, then password is strong, and the upload file there is a progress bar.
Okay, but there is also wouldn't this be error prevention because you're saying it is strong and things like that?
Yeah, it's conflicting with the previous answer.
Here it is saying that something like after completing the password, we are showing some kind of a strong message. I think your password should be strong, something like we are explaining we're explaining to the user status about what you've done and where you are exactly. We'll explain something.
The system is giving feedback, so I guess it comes in system status, visibility of system status.
Exactly. So if you see here itself, right, it is not trying to prevent, it is just trying to inspect that whether it is weak or strong. Right. So yes, for this context, it is visibility of system status, right? Everywhere you are informing your user what's happening in the system, and based on that, you can make a decision. Right. Yeah. Last one. Right. So which heuristic is applied here?
Consistency.
Consistency and standards.
Yeah, consistency.
But colors are different, no? Blue, green, red.
Colors are different. If you look closely, the menu items are different.
Yeah.
But they're following the same text fields, and the fields places are somewhat same. The main thing is I read it about this, the text fields like font size, bold, and those are consistency here too.
Wait, that's actually wrong, because you can see your fonts are on the word online. Your fonts are on the in the second section, as well as in the fourth section.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
In Excel, your fonts are in the second section and nowhere else. Okay. In PowerPoint, your fonts are not even there.
So I will go with the brand consistency, which is an external term. There might be internal changes in the product, but externally the brand gives that essence that they are consistently part of a brand image here.
Yeah, and
So
as for it
is
also,
then the consistency only skin deep then?
I might think about. I think maybe they are following the standards. Something like the top section. The top section is the system name and like a Word Online and Excel and PowerPoint. After that, they are following the menu. After that, they are following the tools. What are the tools? That consistency I see here, the mainly. The three things, and they're maintaining the standards. The first one is a color is a blue standard, and the second one is a Excel.
So that's a branding standard. So what Anirudh was saying is the branding standards. My question is it only at a branding standard level or is it deeper than
that? Internally also the labels are somewhat similar so that people can identify and work on the product easily.
Okay.
Tab menus.
All right.
like it also depends on the working of the system. Like in case of PowerPoint, unless and until we are selecting a text, it won't show the editing option, which you said.
Right.
Not just...
Exactly. So it's a little bit deeper than that. So what they've done is at a very high level, the colors and the layouts they've made consistent. Then what they've done is the syntax of operation is consistent. Okay. So depending on the object you are manipulating, your home menu item will have different things. Right. So that syntax is very contextual based on the item you are manipulating. Is it a Word document or is it an Excel sheet or is it a PowerPoint slide? Based on that, your syntax, the options are changing, but still it is consistent. It's not just brand, it's a little bit deeper than that. It's significantly deeper than that. Okay. Go ahead, Saurabh.
Yeah, so that's the rationale, right? So it is following a consistent language, even though the context is changing. So based on the context, they are changing the elements there, but the overall language, the way you use that product is same, even though you are transitioning from Word to Excel or to PowerPoint, right? So yes, it is an implementation of consistency and standard, and that is very, very, intuitive and effective here. So yes, that's it about the class.